comic, and then we're gonna make, at the very minimum, 2 drawings. How long is this gonna take? I don't know, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And give me any thoughts on where you think we should take it, what we should draw, all that other stuff. Also, what should we talk about too? Oh. All right, hold on. I gotta put my phone in the gumbotron right here. Hold on. Here we go. There we go. All right, we got it. We got it. Perfect. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. So today we got a really simple comic, a newie but a goodie. Um, this is going to be a comic about, you know, there's a lot of different subtleties in how comics work, especially in like where you put the characters and how they're oriented. Um, with that said, with that said, um, anyway, well, let's get to drawing. I love drawing like analog electronics that are pretty outdated. I love like telephones, things like that. Um, because I don't know, like it's like a lot of these things, I feel like we got rid of them for no reason. And maybe not no reason, but like I don't know. Like, well, I don't know, but then again, like actually, a lot of these things did go away for significant reasons, like the analog phone. But like I don't know, this is like classy, man. We can't kill the analog phone, or at least our culture's um, memory of it, just because it's out of date. It's like there's still a point to have an analog phone. It's like you know, just make it a lot cheaper. If an analog phone is like a lot cheaper, like I don't know, man. Um, I mean, why not buy one? You know. But then you got the entire problem of like networking, which you'd think, oh, you know what? The hard part is like all the electronics and all that stuff. It's like no, it's like, and I don't even know about how the networking stuff works. And I work in a place where I think like networking is kind of important. Um, but like even guys there don't really they don't really know everything about networking. Um, like I don't know. It's a we'd like to think that oh it's all very easy, but it's like I feel like most of the complexity in technology today comes from networking. Um, there's an interesting book called The Idea Factory. It's about what's the name of it? Bell Labs. Bell Labs. And Bell Labs is where the transistor was, developed, invented, and like the FET and the what were the two types of transistors? Like the FET and then the anyway. There's a couple types of transistors. I think there's two types of main transistors. But they were both made at Bell Labs, and Bell Labs was like responsible for kind of the age of networking we live in today, which I think enabled the internet and a bunch of other things. Well, for one, but like that was like the main problem that they were trying to crack at Bell Labs. Um, they invented the transistor, but the main thing they were trying to do was how do we connect? Like one of the things was how do we connect the East Coast to the West Coast? You know, so they had like telephone lines, and it was like how do we connect the East Coast to Europe. Oh, undersea cables, but that was a complicated project. And then they started going into satellites in the 60s or something. Like they had this crazy satellite. I think it might have been an Air Force satellite, but it was like a giant balloon in space. It was literally you I think you could see it from the Earth's surface. It looked like a star. It was like a huge balloon, and they would just like bounce radio waves off this like silvery balloon, and like it would come back. But man, Bell Labs, pretty good company. It was a monopoly too. You think, oh, monopolies are all bad. It's like Bell Labs was a monopoly, and the reason why you have your phone and why you're able to listen to this live stream is because of Bell Labs. It's like, oh, monopolies are all bad. It's like, I don't know. I read the book on it, and I was like, maybe maybe being an absolutist about this stuff is like, uh, I mean, maybe there's like a third option. Maybe it's like not all black and white. Sorry, that's a political donation. Those aren't. Ooh, this is complicated. How do I fit all these lines onto there? Sorry, that's a. Hmm. Sorry, that's a political. Okay, we're gonna try and fit all the words here. It's a political donation. Those aren't tax. How do we spell deductible? Deductable or tibble? I think it's tibble. Deductible. I think it's tibble. Yeah. Oh gosh, this is gonna be funny. I mean, you guys already see the punchline, but actually, yeah, you guys already see the punchline, so I think you guys should be able to figure out what this comic is about. But actually, do you guys have any ideas on how I can make this better? Because I don't know. I have some idea of what the comic is going to be about. Well, I mean, the comic is already written, it's already done, but perhaps there's a way of improving it. Any ideas? Any ideas? So yeah, let me just for those of you guys who don't have eyeballs, um, so this is a comic about a man calling his accountant, um, and the man says, "Hey, I have a tax question. Could you help me out?" And the accountant says, "Sure. What's up?" or something. And the guy says, "I made a donation. Is it tax deductible?" And the accountant says, "It depends. What was the donation for?" And the guy says, "It's for the Give Homeless People Automatic Firearms Pack." And then the accountant says, "Oh, sorry, that's a political donation. Those aren't tax deductible." And I came up with this comic because I was thinking of like a lot of the what do you call it? I was thinking about the punchline structures of Calvin and Hobbes comics. And for a lot of these Calvin and Hobbes comics, let's see here. The joke is oftentimes just the absurdity of something. Like the joke is Calvin says an idea to Miss Wormwood or something. And this Miss Wormwood says, like, and then it ends with like him being in detention or something, or like him being in trouble because the idea is, it's like, oh, why would you say such a thing? So it's like, haha, like funny, absurd joke. It's like that's the joke. But for me, I feel like I always want to, like, the absurdism isn't like the joke for a lot of mine, or like I'm like, okay, that would be funny, but I don't make that the punchline. I make it like I try and come up with another punchline on top of the absurd thing. Like like imagine if someone uh but then again, it's not all the time. Like sometimes, absurdism is the punchline. But I was like, okay, well, why don't I just lean into that? What would that look like? And the funny thing I came up with was give homeless people automatic firearms, which is kind of a building off of Mike Ma's. Like he had an idea in one of his books where he said, give homeless people like pickaxes. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like that idea needs more. I don't know. That should be more of a. More people should talk about it. Like a lot of people talk about the homunculus idea. Um, you know, and like lobotomies, like those are all kind of like inside absurd jokes. It used to be like the back rooms. I don't know, lot of different stuff like that. Um, but no one talks about the homeless people. And like I don't know, man. It's like think about it. Like really think about it. Like actually, you know what? Maybe I should not have this conversation. Um, anyway, just think about the punchline on your own time. Um, you know, you can't charge this to your charge code. You can't. This is not company time we're on. But on your own time, you can think about this. Um, I don't know. Maybe you could charge overhead for Goosenov LLC. Maybe you know, charge it for like general overhead. Maybe use that charge code or something else. I don't know. Um, but anyway, don't do it under an official charge number. That Any thoughts on that joke? Um, anyway, is that how the arm works? I feel like that's. Oh man, hands are the most difficult thing to draw, but then the most difficult things to draw is how do you create I think two-dimensional. um how do you like add foreshortening onto uh body parts? Like imagine someone's reaching out to you. If I had a video of me reaching out to the camera, what would that how would I draw that? Especially without a reference, how do you in your head kind of model what that would look like? And for this, it's like, how do I model the arm going out there, where it's getting slightly smaller as the arm kind of points away from you, and then how does it go back? And quite frankly, I don't know. I don't really know. This is not my area of expertise, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just guessing. Sometimes you just gotta guess at how the drawing works, and it looks good enough, so then you just gotta go with it. Unfortunately, it's like I don't know, man. If this was the only thing I did in my life, the only thing I did was comics and drawing. I'd probably spend 2 hours on this, but we don't have that luxury. We don't have that luxury. Um, let's see here. Let's see here. Hold on. I gotta draw. It's gotta be all choppy, so it's a phone call. Because if it wasn't a phone call, um, I mean, what would the you'd think you were crazy. You'd think, oh, is he talking on the phone? Is this the guy talk? Is this the accountant talking, or is this the person talking? And it's like, it's obviously the person talking, but But like, I don't know. If you're reading through something fast, you want there to be as much redundant information as possible. Like as much kind of like you know, like for example, a writer who's writing a movie, you could show everything just through, the words you write. Or you can add on top of it like visual things that happen. Or you can add on top of it um, like music, right? But those are all communicate. They're all an attempt to communicate the same thing, right? Um, right, like the words communicate a tone or theme, and the music also communicates that tone or theme. Basically, everything does. Everything communicates the same thing. Um, so so anyway, a good kind of rule of thumb for communicating stuff is do it via multiple domains and multiple channels. Like yeah, what do you call it? Like I don't know. Like if you're gonna explain something, also show a picture of what you're trying to explain, and then also show, you know, um, don't just say, "Oh, I said it to somebody." Now they should get it. It's like, no, man, you got to show it to them with pictures. You got to show it to them through speaking it. You got to answer their questions, like, and then they'll probably start to begin to understand what you're talking about. And this is a problem with a lot of professors. Like, you need to like a lot of professors don't want to have like a multimedia approach. Um, anyway, anyway. But like, and here's the thing: it's like you can definitely learn something with only one piece of information, like a book, or this or that. But it's less efficient. For one, it's less efficient. Um, for two, I don't know. It's less fun. It's less fun. Like you get bored if you need to like spend a lot of your mental energy trying to decipher, a complex meaning. Like I don't know. Education isn't really free. Um, hey, I have a tax question. Should I add two lines? Could you help me out? It's kind of redundant. It's not really completely necessary, but I don't know. And there's another little trick of the trade. Like if your comic has too many words in it, people are not going to they're not going to read it. Like this, that's too many words. That's pushing it, but it's necessary for the punchline. And my calculation is this like this is a lot of words, but this is not going to be much, and that's not going to be much, and then that is going to be a lot of words. So I'll just say sure. Like people will scan through this. They'll say, "Oh, it's a huge paragraph. I'm not going to read it." Which is why my reels are good because I read the thing for the people and they don't need to read it themselves and they can just kind of watch it as it unfolds. But if I were to just post a lot of my political comics, they would fall flat most likely. Anyway, and like if you see this, you're going to say you're going to say okay, that's a little bit of text, but I could probably read it pretty quick. And that it's one word. So okay, that's a really easy thing. So it's probably I should read this because I want to know what that word is, and it's super easy. So it's like a gum. This is your little gumdrop. This is your little. pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Um, and you can have a little bit more text at the end of your comic because it's what's the word for it? Sunk cost fallacy. If I read the first one and the second one and the third one, am I just going to stop reading at the fourth one? I mean, quite frankly, I have no clue what type of a person would stop reading at the last one. Um, I mean, you got to be a psychopath if you kind of read halfway through a comic and you just say, "Oh, I'm bored. I want to read something else." Um, so that's how you hook them. You have something that's like, you know, says, okay, you're gonna have to read a little bit on this comic, right? You see the first panel, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to read, but it's probably gonna be worth it because there's not a lot. This is a very easy second and third panel, and by the time you probably like skim through that, you don't really pay attention to that. You pay attention to this, and you'll probably want to read through the entire comic. I think I made a donate. Goose Knob is evil. Um, oh, Shisa. This is going to be a little more complicated. I gotta. Yeah. Here's another thing. Um, uh, donation. Is it tax? Okay, we'll have to do it like that. It'll be 3 lines. Made a donation. Is it tax deductible? Something like that. And then let me explain what the punchline is supposed to mean, because the punchline, that's its own thing. Um, if I were, I don't know, if I were somebody else, I would probably just I would end the punchline at I would end it there. But I added this part right here because because it's meant to be kind of a foil to that. It's like, this is pretty shocking. It should be pretty shocking. Um, but the what's funny is like the calmness that the accountant responds to this guy's thing with. It's not like, what the heck did you just donate to? Um, so like there's a double punchline. I feel like that's good. And like the thing is, you could argue that both of these are really weak on their own. But if you have two different punchlines or two different pieces of humor on the same panel or like condensed into the same thing, I think it can actually be kind of funny. And maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know. That's just my thought. That's just my thought. Because like sometimes you're not going to have an explosive, great punchline. So maybe you could stack them. Maybe you could stack them. Ultimately, though, the algorithm market is the algorithm market tells you whether or not, at least in today's economy, it tells you whether or not your comic is actually good. Um, to an extent, some of them, like, some of them you just strike a nerve that like people like just because it's trendy or whatever. It's like it aligns with their beliefs, right? I'd say that a lot of people are like kind of basically proto-communist. They also are very upset at different parts of quote unquote capitalism and the status quo. So if you kind of feed that delusion that the answer is like something simple, like we just need to quote abolish capitalism, which what does that even mean? Um, like people, love it. They love hearing that, and they love liking stuff that kind of feeds that basic delusion. Um, Now, with that being said, a lot of stuff that you know is generally like anti-corporatist, and I think it doesn't have some stupid ideological bent to it. Like, I don't know, everything has maybe some ideological bent, but something that doesn't have like a utopian, like, oh, like let me tell you what I mean by this. If you think we need to abolish capitalism, if you think that that's the answer to like the complexities of the world, like that's completely idiotic. That's the stupidest thing you could possibly think. And it's completely ahistorical, and it just shows that you don't read history. It shows that you don't really know what time period you're living in, and it shows that like you're drunk off of ideology, which I completely understand. Like you need to. I feel like you need to kind of deprogram yourself from an ideology to understand how powerful they are. Um, like even if it's like a conservative ideology, or if it's like this or that, it's like I would argue I used to be like very ANCAP, very much of an ANCAP. I I'm not really anymore. I would say that there's probably some pieces of truth to it. There's some benefits, but I think that as a whole worldview, I think that it is definitely lacking. It's lacking in many dimensions. But the point is, if you are very political in a utopian ideological sense, you think, oh, as long as we have my ideology, that would solve all the problems. Um, it's going to be very hard to actually talk with you reasonably. Um, it's going to be extremely hard, if not impossible, because an ideology is internally consistent. An ideology, it answers all the questions. Like you say, well, what about this? You're like, oh, it's blah 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 blah. You'll have a sound bite for literally everything. Doesn't mean that you're right. Doesn't mean that you actually are. Your thing would actually be the solution. It's like no. Um, and the thing with a lot of communism is it's inside of the actual belief structure of it. It like it's funny. It says like communism is people are going to be happy, and to the people who are maybe communists who are listening to this, like I'm simplifying, but it's fundamentally this. It is saying that like the material ends, the objectives of communism in terms of like the metrics, right? Like, oh, people are going to be happy, people are going to be free, people are going to have food in their bellies and are going to be have everything that they want. They'll be able to work on art. They'll be able to do all this. It's like, these are these. This isn't an ideology. This is an end state. And I like the problem with this ideology is it implies, it doesn't even imply, it says that the end state is the ideology itself. And what that means is like it's like saying, like imagine you're a student on the student council, right? And you're like, if I'm elected, no, my belief, or my what do you call it, my your student council campaign, I am a candyist. I believe that everyone should have candy all the time, and everyone, and there shouldn't be any people shouldn't the students shouldn't be bored in class. Like they should have candy and they shouldn't be bored. It's like, okay, that guy gets elected. Um, and this is kind of just, it's not a great analogy, but it's like kind of it's the best I can come up with while drawing and being tired. Um, but what do you call it? It's like, okay, well, this guy's elected. Okay, now who's gonna pay for all the candy? And or like how are you going to get it, and how is it that like students are no longer bored in class? It's like, these are objectives, these are things you want, Um, but like just because you believe in your ideology doesn't mean that like the material end state is going to be like what actually happens. Like communism says we're going to eliminate poverty. It's like, okay, what does that even mean? Like, okay, that's a goal. Okay, that's a goal. But are the principles on which your entire belief system are those principles on which everything is founded, will those actually transport you to an end state where there is no poverty? It's like you could say, oh, yes, it will. It's like, okay, how? You could come up with some reasoning, some explanation, but, you know, show it to me actually happen. You know, show me actually empirical evidence that your ideology does, what you're saying it will do. But the problem is, I think that a lot of ideologues, not just leftists, but in general, they conflate the end state with what they believe. Like it's the same thing. It's like no, it's not the same thing. What you believe isn't necessarily your end state, and you could be way off base, right? And the right wing argument against communism is, oh, it's actually been tried multiple times. The principles have been tried, and the notion that it hasn't worked or it's never actually been tried because you didn't hit the end objectives, right? Of poverty is gone and blah blah blah. It's like it's like you're just shifting the goalposts. And you could say, well, it's supposed to be a stateless society, and all these systems have had states. It's like, okay, well, how else are you going to enforce? How else are you going to enforce the fact that no one is owning property? Like how else are you going to enforce like the different foundations of the system? And it's like, oh well, people would just naturally do it. Okay, then let's say I naturally say I wanted to start a business, and then I naturally, you know, I naturally decide to employ people. It's like, okay, now you don't have communism, you have anarcho-capitalism. Oh no, there has to be some, committee, a forceful committee that prevents that from happening, prevents people from exploiting others' labor. Okay, well that's a state. So like within, in multiple domains, within how communism works are like contradictions. You could say, no, it's not. You're straw manning it. It's like, okay, sure, okay. Oh, I'm straw manning it. Okay, great. Um, you know, show me a point where this actually like works out on like a macro level, and show me a point where it like creates a utopia, and then we'll talk. It's like, well, it never created a utopia because the CIA, this boogeyman prevented it from ever blah blah blah. It's like, okay, um, if your ideology is actually superior, like attempts to subvert it or destroy it, I think shouldn't lead to the system failing like that. Like here's the thing. Like the truth of the matter is a dominant ideology or a better ideology would be able to work, number one, whether or not the majority wants it to work, or believes in it, and number two, it should be able to beat out other ideologies that are competing with it. Like I don't know, like liberalism versus kind of an authoritarian kind of system. Like Europe had very authoritarian forms of government where like it basically they basically, you know, uh, people weren't very free in Europe. People, weren't able to, start businesses and do what they did in America. It was much more, rigid in Europe, and that's kind of one reason why you saw huge mass immigration to the United States from Europe, because the United States just had a better system. If you look at World War II, it's like, America was able to basically outspend all of their competitors. You could say, well, it's just because of the. It's like, no, they outspended them because their system was better than the opposition. Um, you could say, well, no, that's not true. It's like, well, then who won? Like, what matters in history isn't some weird, whatever, like some stupid metric that you come up with. It's like, who wins? Um, now, there's a couple different ways of winning, right? Um, and I would say, kind of being subversive and hijacking a system. That's, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say that that's kind of winning. That's more being a parasite. Like, is a parasite, um, does it win kind of in evolution because it decides to latch on to like a wolf or a bear, right? Like, is a parasite like a great organism because it just, it decides to like hang out in the bear's intestines and like eat the food that the bear eats. It's like, not really. It's like the bear is a much more elegantly designed creature. It's much more survivable. It's more majestic. It's got, something better going for it. And like, you know, um, it's like I don't know the I don't know, the parasite survival strategy is not a sign that something is superior in a sense. Like an ideology is superior. Like if your ideology requires that you kind of leech off of other people, um, you know, like, and if your ideology doesn't last long term, then it probably sucks. Like, so winning, that's one criteria that matters, but also winning long term, um, I think is the other important thing. And also, I guess the third thing is like, what are you able to create? Like, what's your output? Um, and like, how much can you affect the world, right? Like, you could say America is like, oh, America's evil and blah blah blah. It's like, but I don't know. America, I think, has lasted a decent amount of time, um, and it's probably going to last a bit longer. So I think in terms of long term duration, America kind of has that. Um, Regardless, the effects of America, even if America were to like collapse within the next 30 years, the effects of America are going to last thousands of years. So liberalism within America, um, there's at least something going for it. Number one, it outlasted its biggest Cold War competitor, the Soviet Union. So that should be a something that points to its kind of truth claim. Um, and I mean, just look at the effects of America, like in terms of agriculture. I mean, just anyway, so many other elements, but it's like that's how you judge if an ideology has is worth its salt. And what the 20th century told us, to someone who's actually historically minded and like cares about the truth at all, is that liberalism, um, liberalism number one beats communism, but liberalism also beats kind of authoritarian fascism. And well, I mean, shoot, basically all the world leaders, adopted this idea. Now, what we're learning in the 21st century is that there are downsides to liberalism. Um, but to say, oh, we got to go backwards and go to communism because communism solves the problems. It's like, no. Like, communism is a parasite ideology that you know I would argue it comes from lazy people who don't want to work, and it's like this fairy tale dream of, um, oh, I hate working. If there was a, if there was a system where I get money to do whatever I want, that would be better than a system where, you know, I need to be actually valuable to the people around me. Like it's like some pipe dream, honestly. And I don't know. It's like, I mean, the complete answer to to the genuine problems of communism, like that communists address. It might not 100% be liberalism, but I also don't think it's like this mixed market nanny state either. It's like that's like a, I mean, that's the nanny state, the whatever is going on in Europe and now in America. It's that's a losing strategy historically, I think. Um, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the the good thing is though we have a lot of historical data. We can look historically at what worked in the past and what people have done, and you'd think that there's a lot of things that, oh, we haven't tried this, we haven't tried that. It's like we haven't tried this variation, but it's like, man, so many things have already been done. Um, most ideologies have been tried. Most religions, variations on religion have been done already too. So it's like, I don't know. It's like more of a the solution I think is less of a how do we, oh, what's the, we got to come up with something completely new. It's like I think oftentimes it's like we got to look back and say, okay, well, what actually worked? What does the historical record tell us? Um, you know, and if we do X, Y, or Z, like what is going to lead to something that like jeopardizes our society? Like what have philosophers told us? What has, I mean, just look at every single historical document you can and then find all the truths from those. And I don't know, it's like, I mean, shoot, you could probably come up with a pretty good system. Um, with that being said, if Spengler is worth his salt, then even if you come up with a really good system, it won't matter because it'll eventually collapse, which is true. It's, all the systems are bound to collapse. So, maybe, and if you were to look at Plato, basically what Plato says is like, from my understanding, and you could read Plato and say that there's like a utopian society, like of the philosopher king that he comes up with. But I would say that that's a, I mean, that's honestly just like a return to kind of monarchy or oligarchy or aristocracy. It's not actually a new form of government. So I kind of disagree with Plato there. Um, I would say though that the bigger idea of what he says is that one form of government leads to another form of government, which leads to another form of government, which leads to another form of government, and like governments are transitory. Um, and a lot of them have like benefits, but they also kind of have drawbacks because of what they lead to. Like I think it's like democracy. What did democracy lead to? I think it led to oligarchy, maybe something like that. Um, oh man, or tyranny. One of the other. Anyway, there's like oligarchy, aristocracy, democracy, uh, tyranny. There might have been something else, but those are like the fundamentals. And like if you have democracy for too long, then it's going to turn into something else. And if once you have that thing for too long, there will be like a rebellion against it, and then something else is going to pop up. Um, but I think it might have been tyranny, or shoot, I don't know. Look it up yourself. But that's how the world works. It's not something where there's clear cut, amazing answers. It's like, why does time exist? If there was some perfect thing that we could achieve, just through human will, it's like, why would things change, right? If you can develop something that's perfect, like, then there's no reason for, the things changing. Um, well, shoot, I would probably need to explain further what I mean by that, but um, like okay, so imagine things were perfect, right? Like, you'd hit a state of like complete equilibrium with your society or your economy or whatever. It's like, what's you know utopia implies perfection, and perfection implies like an unchanging nature. Like, otherwise, like to say that perfection wasn't, like, was changing, then it would it would be a really bizarre reality, because it would mean like let's say a broken clock was right like twice a day. Um, that's what it would mean, like, perfection is, which would mean, like, one day, like, this rapist criminal, one day his actions are immoral, but like maybe for like a couple seconds another day, it's actually fine what he did. And you could say, oh, that's an insane thing to think, but it's like, uh a lot of people actually believe that, which is kind of crazy. Like, they think, oh, you know what, um X, Y, and Z is justified because it's to, someone I don't like. And to an extent, there is like a moral clause in kind of how morality can shift, but I think that's only in a time of war. In a time of war, you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna be all nice to my enemies, right? Because they're trying to kill you. It's a different environment. Um, but like at the same time, it's like morality can't change, right? Maybe it changes based on the state that you're in, but it's like, that's also kind of like baked into how morality is still unchanging. Anyway, um, let's see here. All right, we're almost done. So now it's going to be time for us to draw some drawings, some silly characters. Oh man, you guys know what I ate today? I ate some jerky sticks and crackers. Man, oh man, I am hungry. Oh, and some sunflower seeds. Man, those are addictive. Like, what do they put into sunflower seeds? What the heck do they put into sunflower seeds? They got to have like some sort of crazy food scientist group that's like determining like the ideal, like, spite or site not spice or salt mixture for sunflower seeds, and like, okay, how do we ensure that this is as addictive as possible? I don't know how they do it though. It's just like, I mean, it's just like salt, man. So like, what are they doing? Uh, there we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Man, I'm operating on half a brain cell right now. I'm off for, dude. Do they sell brain cell timeshares? I gotta rent I gotta cloud compute some brain cells for the next segment of the live stream. Oh man, dude, imagine if you could do that though. Oh scheisse. Oh gosh, I fucked it up. Oh no. Oh yikes. All right, we'll have to figure that out in a sec. Um, okay. Is that what a timeshare is? I don't know. Actually, I might be wrong with what a timeshare is because I've heard someone use timeshare as like kind of a as buying space on a computer or like in the old days when computers were giant and room sized. Um, I heard them reference timeshares as like I'm buying some time on a computer. If that's not it, I have no idea what a timeshare is. That's a. Are we spelling political right? We gotta sell some Goosenov timeshares. Donation. Those. Is it true that political contributions aren't tax deductible? I'm just firing from the hip out here. I'm just firing from the hip. You know, it'd be really funny if I just quit comics, deduct bull. If I pulled in early Calvin and Hobbes and I just quit comics, that'd be funny. I quit comics the at the same age that Gary or that Bill Watterson starts up. That he started Calvin and Hobbes. That would be really funny. But that's crazy. I think Bill Watterson worked on Calvin and Hobbes for like 10 years. Only 10 years, and then he stopped and he never did it again or something. Yeah, I think that's the story. Is there a better way to phrase this? It's for the Give Homeless People Automatic Firearms pack. I could say and hammers, automatic firearms, and explosives. I think this might just. Mm, mm. It doesn't even. Yeah. There's the thing. If you add more words, it can be funny. Like, cause it's like spices that make the punchline more spicy. Like automatic firearms. Give homeless people firearms. That could be funny, but automatic adds another level to it. Hmm. I'm gonna go with the original of automatic. I was thinking of taking out automatic because maybe it makes it too much. But sometimes I feel like you need to give it an extra kick. Um, home le give homeless people timeshares. But what the hell is a timeshare, man? I heard like people buying timeshares in 2025 too, or was it 2025? Anyway, it was recent. It's just like if timeshares are like using computer time, like I don't even know. Does anyone know what a timeshare is, please? Okay. Okay, my fellow timeshare salesman, after a long and arduous, ear grating um, live stream, we now completed the comic portion. Okay. Oh no, we're not. We're not done yet. We're not entirely done yet. Jeez. Okay, this is actually going to be interesting. Okay. What the fuck is a timeshare? Oh my gosh, man. I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting myself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe timeshares weren't what I thought they were. It sounds like the the speech the protagonist makes at like the end of a film. Like he's in the rain with his love interest. Like saying, I don't know if timeshares were what I thought they were. I'm so lost, Cynthia. Okay, I think we're done. I think we're done for this. Okay, okay, something like that. Something like that. Okay, and I'm gonna erase it later. We gotta get started. We gotta get started. I haven't looked at how many people are on. I'm gonna guess 2, 4. I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay. All right, my timeshares. Isn't timeshare when multiple people pay for one vacation home, which they can use during certain times of the year? Whoa, that's what a timeshare is? That's interesting. Okay. Now we're actually in an interest. Now we get to the fun part. You guys stayed. Now you get the horns. Stayed for the bull, now you get the horns. All right. Should I draw a timeshare? It's a stock in Time magazine. Devil's work. To boomers buying vacation homes for part of the year. Arrangement whereby several joint owners have the right to use. Another time was when 2020 shut down, so it told me about how I drove downtown. Okay. Flag, clothesline. Oh gosh. Okay. Let's draw something. We did gnomes a lot. We did homunculuses. We gotta have something new. We gotta have something fresh. What's something fresh? Some invention that is fresh and new. Besides timeshares, we can't draw fucking timeshares. I guess timeshare would work for like buying time on a supercomputer. You know, it's buying time on like at like a vacation home, but I think it would also be buying time on a supercomputer. That would make sense. Dude, timeshare homes though, that sucks. That sounds terrible. Why would you buy that? What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Something with a light, something with a laser, something with a gnome, something with a pen, something with a timeshare. Well, let's start with something. Starting with a little clock. Starting with a clock. Let's think about this. This actually, okay, here's a couple other things that I'm remembering. Today, because we live in an algorithm, um, the hard incentive is to be funny all the time. But when I was younger, I would be funny with my drawings, but I would also um, kind of go for something that was just mysterious, or something where it was like, just something strange. Like, you can try and be funny all the time, but there's also a point to, like, what if your thing is just like makes you think a little bit? What if it's like something spooky? I don't know. So maybe we return to that with today's invention. And for you and I, this is going to be a little inside joke, because we spent the last 20 minutes talking about timeshares. So this invention might actually be, how would you say it? Worth something. See, here's the thing with weird inventions. You always, always, always need a jar of some sort of liquid. Ideally, if it's green or some like neon color. If it's not green or neon, then like, what are you even doing? Like, you need your can of green neon fluid, man. There we go. All right. Okay, so we got the green fluid, we got that. How do you transfer time? How do you share time? Actually, let's just write out the what we're drawing real quick. But how do you share time? Hmm. Well, first you got to collect it. Okay. So you need to collect time. So the time exists in the clock, but you also need to collect more of it. So you have like some sort of little funnel. You got a kitchen funnel that collects your time for you. Oh gosh, this is the worst drawn kitchen funnel I've ever seen. Ugh, this looks more like yeah, it's kind of like it's a dentist funnel. You spit your time into it so you can share. You can share your time. That's what a timeshare is. Time. So for a timeshare, do you like buy the house, or is it like you're renting it, but only for certain parts of the day? And why don't you just get an Airbnb or a hotel? Like, is this like before Airbnb? Like, what's the point of a timeshare? Is it because you got equity in it? You own part of the house. I don't even know, man. Goblin on a treadmill powering one part of the machine as swear collector use sweat and container green sweat collector green. Um, Gnome on a treadmill, that could be funny. It's always a it's always a good idea, or it's a good sign when you go into your neighborhood, your affluent neighborhood, and you see gnomes on treadmills. That's a good sign. Or goblin. Time sharing device. Device or machine. I feel like machine is more. I don't want to write machine just because it's more letters. I don't know. For someone who does art for kind of a living, well, it's not really completely. Um, I'm not very enthusiastic about art. Yeah, isn't that weird? I'm like, there's a funny meme where like the meme is like that the people who are communists, they want like they want to do art, they want to do art and kind of do that type of stuff, and then the joke is like when the communist revolution actually happens, um they what do you call it, the what actually happens, they get sent to the coal mines. It's like, I'm here to volunteer for the slam poetry reading job. And he's like, no, you're getting sent to the mines. But the funnier joke, that's kind of a reactionary joke to that, is like the coal miner who's like, so what mine do I get sent to? And the guy says, coal mining. No, you have to write slam poetry for 8 hours a day. Anyway, I feel like that's kind of like me. Born to work in the mines, born to work on the oil rigs, forced to draw comics. Oh man. Oh man. I don't know. I mean, really, one thing I've learned to love doing is is engineering. I like engineering. I like building stuff. I like building stuff. But you gotta make money when building stuff. The things that I tried building, like the lamp, I've sold some units, but it wasn't. I mean, it's a little bit of a luxury product, and in order to have a luxury product, there's a very specific way you got to do the branding and the marketing and all that other stuff, which I just don't have the time for. So I don't know. My approach to life is like, there's gotta be a point of why you're doing it. I think. The problem is if no one buys X, Y, or Z. Well, I mean, the thing is, actually, never mind. Forget that last point. People will likely buy stuff if you build it and if it's like decent. But the problem is any business is like you'd think it's like 80% the product that you make, but no, 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 no. It's not the product you make. It is the marketing and sales around that product. Um, which is kind of crazy. Like, and I've heard many different business people talk about this. Like, yeah, business is 80% sales and marketing. The crazy thing about sales and marketing is as a system, it's actually pretty easy. Like if I were to hire people, it's pretty easy. Um, but if I had two hawks, no. Um, if I needed to come up with like a marketing campaign myself, like it's actually pretty difficult. It's actually pretty freaking complicated. Um, now, now with that being said, there's two types of marketing campaigns, I think. There's like one where it's like genius and people actually like want to watch it. Um, and then there's a marketing campaign where it's like it's literally like a giant company like feeding you slop that you get angry at watching, right? Like basically any modern like you turn on the TV, um, you know, it's gonna be slop that you really like. You want to get a hammer, and do some illegal things with it after watching these different ads. But that's only because these giant companies can afford to to pay some like stupid NYU art student who thinks she's like the next Pablo Picasso, or she's the next David Lynch. Oh, I'm the next David Lynch. Look at this like you know um corporate Memphis advertisement I'm gonna make, right? Um anyway, Miss David Lynch over here makes that terrible ad because she checks all the diversity hire boxes, and the giant company pays her not because she's actually a good artist, but because she got the good grades and she checks the boxes, and she's the person, right? And then now you got basically like nepotism, neo nepotism, feeding you advertisement slop on a constant basis, on like a regular basis. And the only reason they make sales is because so many people watch that slop that 0.00001% of them are going to are going to buy. And they do, and then they're able to get some profit off of their stupid ad, just because they throw a lot of money at it, and it's whatever. um but then you got interesting ads where it's like actually creative, and it's actually you know like this is the new meta isn't the like corporate slop ads. It's like paying some TikTok creator that knows how to come up with like a cool narrative, and then they kind of sell your product for you, and you give them like a pretty good commission. um right, you got to find the people who are actually good artists, and then have them do the art, the work for you. And from what I've heard from like many, 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 many different people, is like this is like a huge meta that's like not exploited at all today. Like TikTok Shop. Um, it's even bigger than timeshares. Anyway, um, what's the point? What's the point? Marketing is hard as hell if you're just starting up. If you're doing it yourself, creativity requires a lot of mental energy and brain power to figure out. Kind of. Sometimes creativity just flows naturally, but if you're expected to do it day in and day out, 100%, like 24/7, creativity is pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. Um, Even for creative people, especially if it's something that you're not like that's not like your passion project. Like if you're a director and you needed to you're hired with making a video with a movie. You're hired with to make a movie, and you're not the one who wrote the movie. You're not the guy who, built everything. It's not your vision, but you're like, you got to make the movie. It's like, you know, your heart's not going to be 100% in it, but you're going to have to do it anyway, which will require like a lot more energy because it's not like naturally flowing from your subconscious. Um anyway, but it's funny. It's funny that that's where a lot of the business in the modern day is. Or just in general is. It's not about how well you do the product, because there's a lot of nerds who already figured out like how to make the best product with stuff. Um, it's oftentimes about how do you interact with the human network? How do you interact with like people? Are you able to communicate ideas to people very well? Are you able to sell a narrative that people want to be a part of? If your answer is yes, then for most business, you're able to make money off of it. But if your answer is no, then I mean, shoot, then you then you lose. Um, anyway, final thing to draw. What should we draw? How do we wrap this up? How do we wrap this bad boy up? Something with a snail, maybe. Something with a time sharing. Tiny Rube Goldberg contraption in his hands. Nothing else. I don't know. I don't know. I can't add anything to the goblin running on the treadmill. That's going to be a little difficult. Should I label this? I don't think so. I think just sometimes labels can be funny if like there's no words with them. So that's the experiment here. What's a symbolic thing I can add to this guy? Um, to I'm gonna add a timeshare to this guy. I'm gonna I'm gonna put you into a freaking timeshare. Hey, I'm out here selling timeshares to homeless veterans. Okay. Okay, whatever. There we go. I think that does the job. That does the job. That does the job. What are we doing? What the hell are we doing, man? Um, I found a new literally me. The guy from Wall Street, 1987. Literally me, man. Literally me. I haven't finished the film, so maybe he's not literally me. You know who else is a good literally me? The judge from Blood Meridian. Literally me. Literally me. Judge is literally me, man. Actually, what'd be really cool? This needs to happen at some point. Um, there needs to be a movie made, a live action Blood Meridian movie, and you know who has to play the judge? Dude, Sam Hyde has to fucking play the judge, man. That would be the most incredible. That'd be the most incredible movie ever. The Coen brothers direct it. Sam Hyde plays the judge. Man, I don't know if Nick Rochford. I don't know if he should be the judge. He would be like a good second, but like, imagine, dude. Imagine how good that movie would be. I don't know. Maybe in a couple of years, I don't need to imagine. Um, or maybe AI can generate it sooner. Who knows? We'll see. Um, so what are we doing? What are we doing? We got to draw something else. What are we doing, man? Oh, you have no clue. You guys have no clue. Oh my gosh. Dude, this is going to be so good. You guys don't even know. This would actually be an incredible product, too. I just draw a timeshare. I don't know what to caption it, though. I don't know. Maybe people won't understand what I'm trying to get at here. I don't want them to misinterpret this. So maybe I just got to draw it really well. An artist's greatest fear is having his intent be misconstrued, having his art have a different effect than he wanted it to have. That is the artist's greatest fear. and not maybe not like a benign different effect, 'cause that's fine, but like a different effect where it's like the message is like the antithesis of what you actually wanted. When you guys were younger, did you guys like play with bugs? Did you guys like go out in the yard or the different areas and like play around with like the bugs? Like is I don't know, do people still do that? People still play with the bugs? Do kids nowadays still know what bugs are? They still play with them? Because I don't know, like looking back, I'm like, or if I were to, I don't think I would touch any bugs today. I would be like, oh no, stay away from me, bugs. But in the past, I feel like I was much more tolerant to bugs. You know, I would like pick them up. I would like look at them. I'd be like, look at this bug right here. Isn't this bug something special? Hey kid, I'm talking to the bug. I'm a uh, I'm a 7-year-old kid talking like a Wall Street broker who's like 45 years old. Hey kid, I see something special in you. I see something special in you. I'm picking up the snail. It's like 2 inches away from my mouth. Hot breath is steaming up the snail's shell. You and me, we're gonna do big things. We're gonna do big things together, you and me. Okay, this is actually I like this. This is funny. Um, I need to add a tie, a nice little tie. What would a nice little tie be? A little centipede, maybe? A little centipede tie, maybe. I don't know. Dude, centipedes are actually fucking scary, man. Like, like if you look at Vietnamese centipedes, like the giant centipedes in Vietnam, man. Those are fucking terrifying, man. And the people in the military had to like deal with them, man. Oh my gosh, that's the most disturbing, disgusting thing oh man, I don't even know. And I think they might even bite and be poisonous too, which is like, oh man. Dude, bugs, why do they gotta be like that? Why do they gotta look so disgusting? Like some bugs look like cute, right? You can have a coffee table like book with like a bug on it, and a girl will be like, "Oh, that's so cute. Look at that." Um, but like some bugs, like you're gonna get fired from your job for like having a picture of it lying around. You're gonna, you might face legal action. The FBI might show up at your house if you have some of these bugs in various places, right? Or if you take like a photo of a bug in a certain way, like take a photo of a cockroach's face. Like, man, the authorities are gonna have to have a word with you if they find that on your phone. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Jeez, what did I just draw here? I hope you understand what this is. It's bug fashion. I hope it's abundantly clear what I just drew. I hope it's not like just, oh, this guy has a bunch of bugs on him. No, 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 no. This is bug fashion, man. This is bug fashion. Man, I really hope this gives off bug fashion and not something else. If it's something else, then we're probably gonna have to pack up and quit Goose Knob. It's gonna have to be over. Okay. I think I think that's it. I think we're good. I think that might be it for today, fellas. You have to title it Bug Fashion. No, I can't. Do I? I had a little plastic jar with a magnifying glass lid from a field trip. It was for catching and looking at bugs. Fuck, do I have to write Bug Fashion? Fuck it. Okay, whatever, man. Whatever. Man, if this ruins it, I blame you. I blame you. Dude, I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do with all these drawings. Like, what the hell do I do with them? Like, cause I have like probably like I probably have like over 100 drawings like this. Do I publish them all in like a drawing book? I don't even know, man. It's like, what do you do with all these drawings? I can't turn them into reels. I can't really post them. Maybe I do post them. I don't know. Fash. Okay. Okay. That does the trick, I think. Yeah, but like, why do kids not view bugs with as much disgust as adults do? I don't know. Because as an adult, I don't think I would ever want to touch a worm with my bare hands. But as a kid, I feel like you wouldn't be as opposed to it. You'd be like, oh, it's a worm. Let me pick it up. I don't know. You know, I should probably stop philosophizing about bug fashion and start going back to selling my stupid timeshares. As a kid, you see something new, and as an adult, you see what you are conditioned into seeing into as a pest. Maybe, but like as an adult, you kind of see it as like harmful. You're like there's like a fear or an disgust response. But as a kid, like there isn't that. And if it was like but for like spiders and stuff, there is, right? Um, so like I don't know, like what, like let's say if worms aren't like bad for you, if you shouldn't be scared of a worm, then why do you have like a disgust response as an adult, but not as a kid? It could be, as you're saying, like learned, but I don't know. I don't know if it's like kind of a universal experience. I don't know. It and the thing is like why like as an adult why would you not even want to touch any bugs? Like even nice bugs, you kind of want to keep your distance from them. I don't know. I don't know. Bugsicle, bugsicle, bugsicle. It's either a bicycle made out of bugs or a bug-based bicycle or a popsicle that has a bug in it. There you go. That's a business idea. That's $1 million business idea right there. Popsicle with a bug. It's like those Mexican lollipops with like a scorpion in them, but it's a popsicle. Dude, that would be so disgusting. Like there's a worm in a popsicle, a gummy bug, bugsicle, the gummy bug, man. Ugh. Anyway, I think that's it. That's it for today. All right. Um, buy some timeshares. Sell me some. Find timeshares and give them to me, please. And we will. Yeah. Anyway, nice talking with y'all. 90 minutes. Jeez. 90 minutes. Jeez. Takes me 90 minutes to draw a comic and 2 drawings. Duly noted. All right.